I really like PowerPoint and the way that works with the projector, because it's really easy in terms of giving students something that helps them have something to follow visually, and I can easily upload it to Blackboard and share it with students, and I know it really helps them study. So the basic projector PowerPoint model, I think, helps when you're giving a large lecture. In smaller classes, I don't necessarily like it quite as much. It would be easier to have just access to basic handouts and have students get together in smaller groups and teach more through discussion and group activities and things like that. So I would say, as a tool for a 500 student class where your options are limited in terms of what you can do otherwise, Blackboard and the projector works pretty well for me. But yeah, other alternative technologies would be things that I would probably be more likely to use in a smaller setting. But in a larger class, I think it works pretty well.
Stacy Rosin, an AP Calculus teacher at Bullis School, experienced problems with keeping her students engaged with her lectures. She decided to record her lectures and upload them to iTunes. By doing so, she had her students watch the lectures at home and come to class with questions. With utilizing the technology available to her, Rosin's students scored an average of 4.11 on the calculus test instead of last year's 3.59.
I think PowerPoint is probably the best because you can write out your thoughts beforehand, and then all you do is present the material, and then students can ask questions as they pop up on the screen.
Given those options and having to weight everything equally, I would have to come to the conclusion to select the option of the one-on-one teaching style because of its great implications in the teaching method. It really helps students open up their minds.
I mean, for math class, I think that teacher writing notes on whatever it may be, and then him writing them as we're going through is beneficial for me, and I think it's a good way to get the material across. But for other classes, I mean, PowerPoint, yeah, I still think it's the same way, so the teacher writing notes as you're going, because in engineering we have PowerPoints, and I don't really take away what's important and what's not important.
That's a little tricky in a 500 student class. When I'm teaching smaller classes, I like to have people split up into groups and report back and do more group discussions. And I can do a lot more dialoguing with people where one person will answer a question and the whole class can hear, and then we can kind of talk it out, and you can be more casual about that. In a 500 student class, unfortunately, the options are just a little bit more limited. If you have a few times, I'll have people divide up into groups where you'll grab the 3 or 4 people around you, and I'll have people do an activity and talk about something, and then we'll regroup and I'll sort of explain the point that we were trying to make with it. And I think that helps people break up the monotony of just a lecture a little bit. It can also dwindle into chaos slightly when you have that many people, right? Because it's really easy if people aren't focusing on what you told them to do, just for the room to become a total zoo. So I don't do that as often as I would, but that's something that I try. In a smaller setting, I would then want to have the people from each group come up to the front of the class and report on what they talked about, but that can be a little harder in a huge lecture hall. But I try things like that. I try to do things like play videos that illustrate the examples we're talking about, just to help people see things in a new way and not just have it be a solid hour of me just up there talking at them in the same tone of voice. And I do sometimes try to throw out questions to people that sometimes I will try to take answers from students, which I think helps it feel a little bit more interactive. If people know I'm going to throw out a question and a fellow student's going to pipe up, you know, keeps it a little more interesting. Though that can be hard. You know, some people when they're teaching in a 500 student class just say, I never ask questions. You just can't do that when you're lecturing, because if someone tries to answer, no one can hear what they're saying. So that's a little challenging. I've tried to do that occasionally this semester, but sometimes it just ends up no one wants to say anything because there's 500 people listening, and it doesn't always go totally well, or they can't hear how the person's answering. So I try to do that, but to the extent to which my ability to do that is limited. Sometimes I'll have people split up into small groups, sometimes and really just trying to be entertaining, actually, is your best option in a big class, because you really do have to adopt a little bit more of just the kind of lecture present material model, you know, when the class is that large. So I think just being interested in what you're saying is really half the battle.
Technology around us is evolving quite quickly. In order to keep up with it, classrooms will have to change. Teachers will need to adjust how they teach so that learning is more effective for students, but also accommodate for how comfortable the teachers feel. In the end, the educational process will have to gradually integrate more technology as more advances are made.